So what we're going to talk about today is the real power of the Wind blockchain that nobody is talking about. And it all starts with Blockbot. And it's like, I like to think of it as the best kept secret that's actually not a secret. All the information is public and available. It's just kind of complex and different than what we're used to. So most people aren't seeing the power of it and they overlook it. So this presentation is really geared toward like putting that into bite-sized pieces so you guys can begin to chew on it and digest it and understand its power. So to really understand it, I think you need to zoom out of everything that we're doing and everything that we could be and take a look at what's really going on here. So some of you may or may not have seen this picture before, but this picture represents a few different things. It represents a bird's eye view of all of our impact projects, just zoomed out. If you were a bird looking down, this is what you would see. Now, you see this circle here. This represents all of our impact projects. You'll recognize some, but you'll see some like air, rad, water. These don't even exist yet. And we have about, I don't know, maybe 11 or 12 of these active. These projects could turn into hundreds and hundreds of different types of industries and projects. The potential is limitless here, but the point of me showing you guys this is I want you to understand how all of the impact projects play into the Wind blockchain. And if you notice in the middle here, you'll see a little Blockbot logo. Like, why is that in the middle? And why is the Wind blockchain up top? And what are all these little interconnected lines? And how does that play into it? Okay, so let's get into that. So before we get like deep into that, let's understand that we have, a multitude of different projects across various industries. Okay. And all of our projects are real world projects that have real world products and services that are revenue producing. Okay. So you can see that in, some of our projects. So we'll just go through it so you guys can understand. So green, right? It's revenue producing. It has a node, it has Boost, it has PowerPay. Some of them are, if you look at maybe like Grow, they have like animal NFTs. Like some of them are the value or the use case isn't realized yet. It's kind of like a pre-sale, but a lot of our projects have actual real world working products. Like we're on an R-Link right now. That is a real world working product or service. Other projects, their products or services just haven't become like usable yet. But just know that there's going to come a point in time where every project, that's all they have, is a ton of different real world products and services that everyday average people can use and tap into the blockchain in a way that's not blockchainy and confusing. It's a real world familiar product or service. Now, with that being said, products and services that produce revenue, I want to get into what these lines represent. So these lines represent, I think, three things for me. When talking about revenue, they represent the revenue flow. Okay, so when a project releases a product or service and revenue is produced by that revenue flows through these lines, okay? It goes through this process, but it all goes to Blockbot through the Wind blockchain. That's why the Wind blockchain is above here. It's not in a circle because it's an index of every purchase and sale of products or services across our whole decentralized ecosystem. So my point here is that all of the revenue produced by any one of our verticals flows through the Wind blockchain and goes to Blockbots. It doesn't go to brand node owners directly. So that's, I think, the biggest thing that I think people don't realize. So let's just say the Grow project just starts going into massive momentum and starts doing a ton of revenue. And then Rally or R-Link takes off and they onboarded millions of users who are paying for their service. All of that money that comes in to pay for these products or services, that flows back through the Wind blockchain to Blockbots. Now, that is the best kept secret. That's not a secret. That's how it works. And we can dig into how that works a little bit. Now, these lines also represent something else in reverse. We are Blockbots. We share products and services. So these lines also represent flowing from Blockbot to the projects, the impact ripples that we create. So it represents revenue. It also represents in reverse the impact that we create as Blockbots. Now, I'm not going to dig into it, but I just want to touch on it. We all kind of know foundations. We've seen that node. In regards to foundations, these lines represent an index of transactions across our whole network. But we're not going to touch on that today. But there's a lot of pieces in here that it's important for you guys to understand, and we will dig into it. So let's talk about proof of action. Action equals value. So proof of action is a blockchain consensus mechanism that rewards users based on real-world contributions rather than computational power or capital. It ties token distribution to verifiable actions, and this aligns economic rewards with meaningful actions. The reason why proof of action is so powerful is you got to look at like how Bitcoin mining works. Bitcoin mining is reserved for people who have a lot of money. It wasn't the case back in the day. Anybody could mine. But because of the proof of work algorithm, literally it's only the people who have millions of dollars who can participate in the validation and consensus of that network. Here, participation is democratized because our distribution isn't tied into how much money you have. It's tied directly into how much value you provide and how much actions you do. Okay, so there's a few different things that we're going to touch on in this presentation in the Wind blockchain. And again, this rewards action, not speculation. Most blockchain projects out there are speculative in nature. Okay, what we have is a blockchain distribution algorithm that's tied directly to action. There's nothing speculative about it. So proof of action, we talked about that. Earn tokens by taking meaningful actions, not by actual proof of work mining or holding. There's a term called the win rank that we're going to touch on. And every action you take builds your win score, boosting your rewards. We'll get into that. We're also going to touch on Smartflow distribution. All the revenue flows through the Wind blockchain, not just Wind branded items. I kind of touched on that in that picture. All of the brand revenue that flows through the Wind blockchain and goes to the Blockbots. And everything here is powered by the Wind distribution algorithm. It's a smart, transparent engine that automatically rewards the community based on these actions. And the cool part about this, guys, is that everything that flows through the Wind blockchain goes back to the community. Every transaction, every purchase, sale through the shopping cart is distributed fully and fairly, and 100% of the proceeds flow back through the Wind blockchain to active Blockbots. Okay. Now, I guess I'll go through this. I use this analogy because I think it makes sense for a lot of people. How many people like sports? We have different types of sports all across the world, but no matter what sport, the goal is the same. It's to score and earn points. That's how you win the game. So what are the different ways to score? If you look at basketball, it's, 3 points if you shoot behind the 3-point line. And then it's like 2 points for a regular one, or I'm not sure how the points work. But my point is, when you score points, there is a certain amount of points you get for a certain amount of actions. So I think like soccer or European football, they call it, it's 1 point for, kicking the ball into the goal. So there's different ways to score points, right? And the point is, whoever scores the most points wins the game. Players who score the most points in games in the season, they kind of get this ranking in their league. They're like, whatever league you're in whatever country, professional sports league, there's a ranking system that kind of he's the most MVP or the number one quarterback or things like that. Now, this is an example of American football back in 2022. Tom Brady was a New England Patriots quarterback. And I'm not a sports guy, so this is weird for me to use this analogy. Travis Kelce, Kansas City, maybe, he was a quarterback. So these are the stats in 2022. So in 2022, Tom Brady was the number one ranked quarterback, which gave him a base salary of $15 million a year, okay? His total rewards ended up being $84 million because of his rank. So he went from 15 million base salary to total 84 million, which is a huge jump. Travis Kelce, however, was ranked number 10, and his base salary was 10.5 million, but his total rewards were 11 million. This shows that because Tom Brady was ranked higher, he unlocked value beyond the field. And the win rank works the same way. Whether you're in the NFL, you get ranked and you get these extra endorsements and bonuses. The win rank does the same thing. It gives you win rewards, but also node support rewards. It taps into that revenue index. So the more actions you do, it equals a higher rank, and it eventually equates to higher rewards. So every day in the Win blockchain, there's a game being played, but it's a real game. And it's a game that's creating impact across humanity. The question is, how do we win this game? Pun intended. So here's the bigger picture. We talked about this. I just want to touch on this again because this is super important. So this is a universe of possibility here. What you're looking at is a glimpse into the Blockbot metaverse. It's a decentralized, community-owned ecosystem made up of real-world blockchain-powered projects across nearly every sector: health, energy, finance, food, charity, data, and more. Each project is community-owned and produces revenue with real-world products or services. And this is the key thing that is, the most important thing out of all of this. Each one of these projects connects back to a unified blockchain value system. It's those lines, and it's the Win blockchain. All revenue flows back to Blockbots through the Win blockchain, through this unified blockchain value system. So to really understand this, guys, like if you believe that any one of our projects are going to be successful, owning nodes in that projects is super important because it supports the infrastructure layer. It gives you ownership in that project. I own a ton of nodes in every project. I own like 50 plus nodes in every project because I believe in them. I want to help shape the direction of them. I have voting power. I get a daily distribution from them, but I'm also smart enough to realize how the money flows in the system of what we're doing. And all of the revenue flows through the Win blockchain. So to participate in that revenue, if it's true that I believe that, we could potentially have months that do several $100 million in revenue, I need to know that revenue flows through the Win blockchain and is distributed to Blockbots. So I need to put myself in a position where not only I'm creating impact and generating this revenue for all of our brands and for Connect, but I will be in a position where I can capitalize on all of that revenue, okay? Let's talk about the Blockbot shopping cart. So this is where the sale and purchase of all of the brand products and services are. And the purpose of these products or services is not to generate revenue. That's, obviously they are going to generate revenue, but the purpose of them is to give value to humanity. We're leveraging blockchain technology to give better value to humanity than what exists. And each product or service is designed to do just that. Okay. So we have real products, real services that generate and create real revenue and real impact for humanity. So we have a powerful suite of blockchain powered impact driven projects, products and services spanning trusted partner brands across diverse industries. And this is kind of like an example, you know, video conferencing, charity, mining, health and wellness, energy, agriculture. You guys already know this stuff. Like, we're tapping into every industry and trying to challenge the status quo and create better value for the people who are already buying products and service in that industry. All of the value and revenue that's generated, and I'll keep repeating myself because it's important and trying to say it in different ways. All of the revenue that's generated through products and services is transparently tracked and rewarded back through the WIN blockchain. So me as a brand node owner, I do not get that revenue directly. I'll get it indirectly because it goes through a Smartflow process that we'll talk about. But to directly participate in that revenue, whether I've personally generated that revenue or not, that occurs only in the WIN blockchain as an impact Blockbot. You tap into the revenue index. Okay, so let's talk about exactly how this works. So the process is called Smartflow. It turns every sale or purchase into blockchain rewards. So when a user purchases a product or service from the shopping cart, revenue is captured, whether that's in the form of USDC, USDT, ETH, or even a wire. All of that liquidity or revenue is captured and it's sent into this Smartflow system, and it's redirected to our markets, to our decentralized market layer. Smartflow executes token purchases. So I'll give you a perfect example. Let's just say we'll use Rally, for example. So let's just say people come in and start buying a bunch of Rally products and services, nodes, boosts, subscriptions, things like that. Smartflow takes that liquidity, that money, and goes to the market and buys the Rally token. Okay, once it has those Rally tokens, those purchase tokens are then sent back through the WIN blockchain, where a smart contract-based distributor allocates those tokens to the Blockbots. Okay, those tokens don't go to Rally node owners. Now, Rally node owners benefit indirectly because a Rally node produces tokens through the distribution, which have a market value. So when you have a lot of buy-side pressure, our markets are directly tied into revenue. This is what I was talking about. This is not speculative. Most blockchain projects are all speculative. You have people purchasing the token, they're betting. They look at the project, they think it's good. If more people buy the token goes up, but there's nothing actually driving the token price. It's purely speculative. Here, we have real world revenue that's actually driving the token price. So the more we can generate revenue, the more positive buy side pressure goes into the market. And, nothing's for certain or guaranteed, but simple economics says that, when there's more buys than sells, the token price goes up. So we have something that fundamentally drives our markets that's not speculative. It's based on real world revenue from real world products or services. So the cool part is here that these tokens that come back through the WIN blockchain, like being an impact Blockbot, you'll tap into this index whether you've personally done that sale or not. I think that's the biggest thing that people aren't quite realizing. And we're at this point right now where we're We haven't gone into massive momentum, but the momentum is starting. So you guys on this call right now might see something called node support rewards, and we'll dig into that. And it might not be a lot, but there's people right now who don't even have brand nodes who are earning sometimes more than what brand nodes given a distribution because of this Smartflow system. So why does this matter? Well, it matters because the projects don't control the token flow. The blockchain does. The token buy pressure, it's automated and market-based. And the rewards go to ecosystem supporters. So all of the revenue goes to the people who are supporting the network, not necessarily brand node owners. What this does is this creates a shared growth economy across all participating brands. So let's talk about this win rank concept and win pay rewards. So your actions increase your score, and that helps increase your win rank. And your win rank is the number one thing that powers your win pay rewards. So it's really simple. We're going to dig into it on how these actions kind of really affect your win score. But the more meaningful actions that you take, the higher that you rank. And the higher you rank, the more win pay rewards you unlock. And just to be clear, win pay is where all that revenue that comes from real world products and service purchases and sales goes through that Smartflow system and comes back through the Win blockchain and goes to win pay. So this picture here is a snapshot of an account. All of this is based on, revenue. Some are more than others, but as we grow and scale, guys, and we start, like right now we're small. We have like under 100,000 users with only a small portion of them actually active. But what's going to happen when, we have several million users and, recurring revenue from people using our products and services? These numbers right here as a Blockbot are going to increase exponentially. That's what I envision. Like that's bound to happen. And the point of this is for you guys to really understand, that this is, you need to understand the greater picture of everything that's going on. Owning nodes is great. I don't want to undermine the value of owning nodes. I own a ton of them, but I'm going to be honest with you guys. The most nodes that I have are Blockbots. And it's for this specific reason, because I understand that as we go into momentum and this thing scales and the world starts using our products or services, all of that money flows through the Win blockchain. How do I position myself in the Win blockchain to capture as much revenue as possible? I have to increase my win rank. That's how I increase my win pay rewards. That's how I increase my share of all of the revenue as we go into momentum and scale. So let's get specific on how this win ranking works. So I think we understand that like there's a benefit to owning all types of nodes in our ecosystem. I don't think that's the question. We get that. But how exactly do we understand and rank up in the Win blockchain? So there's really three ways to do it. So let's take a look at this. This is where it gets a little complex and confusing. So this is a proof of action. It's action based, and there's points tied to certain actions. So let's talk about Friendchain. So I think we all know what Friendchain is. It's our Ripple. It's who we refer and who they refer. It's who's like cryptographically tied to us. Like we may or may not have, directly referred people, but it's for lack of a better term, it's a lineage. They're tied directly into our Friendchain. Okay, so there's points that are associated to certain actions that we do directly and actions that occur in our Friendchain. And you'll notice there's full points, but then there's also fractional points. So every time you earn $100 in USD value, there's a point associated with that. Every time you help a friend earn $100. A friend is like a directly referred person. There's a seventh of a point associated with that. There's also other points here. Anytime a team member, that's anybody in your friend chain, earns $100, there's 1/365th of a point. It's a small fraction of a point. Every time a team member becomes an impact Blockbot for the first time, there's a fractional point. Every time you operate an active Win Smart node. The wording needs to be changed. This is an older thing, but I think we understand what this means. Every time you operate a Blockbot, you get a full point. Okay, so there's full points and there's fractional points, but the most important thing to realize here, guys, is that just because it's a full point, it doesn't mean that there's full points that are more valuable than other full points. And I'll explain it here. To rank higher in the Win blockchain, we want to focus on recurring action points. And I'll explain why. So the number one thing you guys can do is run Blockbots. So purchase and own as many Blockbots as you can. I own 95. A year ago, people are looking at me like I'm crazy. They're like, dude, why do you have 95 Blockbots? And I'm trying to explain this, and it's just like going in one ear, out the other. They didn't get it. They didn't understand that I am strategically positioning myself to capitalize on our growth and momentum. So the number one thing that anybody can do to rank up and position themselves in the Win blockchain to capture this revenue is to run Blockbots. And the reason why is because you get a full point for every Blockbot you run. And then for every 5, you get an extra point. And it's recurring every day. You earn ongoing points daily. So that's different than like earning a full point from referring a sale. That's just a one-time thing. When you own and operate Blockbots, it is points every day for the whole time you're running nodes. And that's super important because the algorithm that looks at your points, it determines your rank by, we'll dig into that on the next, but the second thing you can do is sell Blockbots. The reason why is because when you sell Blockbots, sure, you earn the one-time point for the commission, but when other people run Blockbots, those are recurring points as well. Okay? And then thirdly, every other products and services that we sell, the one-time points are good, but they don't stack. So there's more value in owning and operating Blockbots than there is selling Blockbots. And there's more value in selling Blockbots than selling everything else because of the fact that when you run Blockbots, whether that's you personally or on your team, those are recurring everyday points. Recurring action grows your rank more than anything else. Okay, so let's actually, before I go there, there's also blockchain points. Okay, you get points for actions that happen outside of your friend chain. So I don't think so. Let's just say Ranjit, right? Let's say Ranjit starts taking a lot of actions and Jenna starts taking a lot of actions. You guys aren't in my friend chain, but you are in my blockchain. So anything you guys do, I indirectly benefit because there's fractional points that I get because I was here before you. Just like how if I started, doing a bunch of actions and maybe referring people, like bringing new people in, getting them plugged into products and services or nodes, you guys would benefit from my actions. And I'll explain what that looks like in a visual. But let's recap on Friendchain. So this is my fancy drawing I did that I stole online and put these little points in here. So as we begin to, create impact, we do referrals and we start to build the network and expose more people to what we're doing, all the little actions that they do create points that trickle up to us. Now, this is how the blockchain side of the points work. So let's just say, for example, this is a straight line of the first person who joined Connect to the very last person that joined Connect on the right and plugged into the Wind blockchain. So let's just say, for this example, you are this green dot right here. You maybe joined a year ago. So what this line represents is not a friend chain, not a team. It's the whole global ecosystem in one line. So after you joined, let's just say Jake referred somebody, they would just get stacked in, time-stamped one after another. This has nothing to do with lineage, Friendchain, team. Now, because you came in at this date, anybody refers and plugs into the Wind blockchain after you plug into it are in your blockchain. And that means anytime they're taking actions, you get fractional points that trickle up to you. So right now, this may not seem too powerful, but what happens when we have 1 million users, 100 million users who are all taking actions? The amount of action points that we will get from having the vision and plugging in early is going to be insane. So the way this works is your Friendchain points or connection points daily are added to your blockchain points. This gives you a win score, okay? And the reason why I talked about recurring points before and why recurring points are more powerful than just points that are a one-time point, it's because of this. This is the blockchain memory. So what this is this is how your rank is determined through your win score. So it's all about what you do today. If you notice here on today, 50 of the points that you earn today can be applied to your win score. So what you do today, you can get more value from what you did in the past 7 days. And what you've done in the past 7 days is more valuable than what you've done in the past month, past year, and all time. I want to kind of explain this in a different way or really make you guys understand. So I said a couple slides ago that the number one thing that you can do to really rank up in the Wind blockchain, to put yourself in a position to capitalize on all of the revenue in the form of node support rewards, is to own Blockbots. It's because when you own Blockbots, it's one action. You purchase and run the Blockbots, and it's recurring points over time. So it's not like you need to continuously do new actions of like referrals. It's a way for you to have consistent points today, past week, past 30 days, past year, and all time. It's the number one thing that anybody can do to rank up quickly in the Wind blockchain. The second thing is to share Blockbots, to build a network of Blockbots. Although those aren't full points, they're recurring fractional points through time. Everything else you do, referring a sale, selling a brand product or service, is great and has a value, but it's not as valuable as owning and operating Blockbots and selling Blockbots because of the fact that running Blockbots are recurring. Okay. So let's talk about how this revenue flows through. So I think we're not going to go into a full explanation here, but I think we understand if we do refer sales, we get a transaction reward, confirmation reward, all those rewards. But there's rewards associated. There's like a global revenue share reward. It doesn't happen from things we do directly. So every day, these node support rewards is what I want to focus on. Every day, based on what my rank is and the revenue that was produced 30 days prior, like everybody on here who was an Impact Blockbot and is ranked gets node support rewards. And I want to kind of explain the flow of these rewards. So I think it's like 10% of all of the revenue. So let's just say we do 1 million in revenue. That means 100,000 goes into these 4 blocks, okay? With a quarter of it going into the top 50 block, another quarter of it going into the top 500 block, top 5,000 block, and top 50,000 block. The cool thing is here is, a quarter of that 100 grand, which is $25,000, is being split amongst 50 block bots. And if you're a top 50, you're also tapping into this block and every previous block below it. So let's just take a look at this. This is last month. Actually, 2 months ago, I took these pictures. This is my account ranked 23 versus my wife's account ranked 94. So you see the difference here in the amount of win tokens. It's a little bit unfair because my account has more nodes than hers, so it doesn't really paint the picture. But this paints a better picture. Okay, so this is again those two same accounts. My wife's is on the top. So this is the index node support rewards based on ranking and revenue. So as revenue grows, so does the node support rewards. That's going to all the impact block bots. So if you look at the top here, we'll just take a look at this. So for May 2nd, 2025, my wife's account earned 4,200 win, 5,800 grow, 23,000 rally, 14,000 rev, 15,000 switch. Now that's at rank 94. So if you look rank 23, which is me on the bottom, 17,000 win, 24,000 grow, 99,000 rally. Okay, that's about 5 times the amount as my wife because of the difference in rank. And you can look back to that picture I showed with the 2 NFL quarterbacks, Tom Brady versus Travis Kelce, ranked number 1 to 10. Tom Brady earned a lot more than Travis Kelce. I earned a lot more than my wife because I'm ranked and have taken actions. I am purely focused on owning as many block bots as I can, then selling as many block bots as I can and building a network of block bots. And not to take away from all the brands because that's huge, but I understand that that's not the most important thing I can do to put myself in a position to rank. It is super important. I'm not saying that like selling brand products isn't important because that's how we create impact across the world. But when we're looking at how the actual system works and what it favors, I do what it favors in order of that because it's putting me up in a rank where I can capitalize on it. So these numbers, though, 100,000 rally per day, that's just based on like our revenue now pre-momentum. Like what happens when we go into momentum? If everybody on here believes that, the Rlink project will be successful and it's just a matter of time as we push out into market and we start generating like millions and millions and millions of dollars a month in recurring revenue, like this amount of rally tokens that you see here, 100,000, will pale in comparison to the potential which it could be. I mean, this could be like 1 million rally a day. Like we don't know. It's all based on the amount of revenue and the size of our community. This is the strategy that Jake and I used when we were in Gala. It wasn't as complex as this, and we didn't even know how the proof of action worked in that. We just understood one simple concept, that if we helped grow the network, that we would earn a ton of tokens. And I mean, Jake can speak to that a little bit, but let me give you an example. So there was a guy who bought like 400 nodes, right? I started with 10. We ended up making the same amount and it was millions of dollars. Why is that? How could somebody who had 400 nodes make one amount and me who had 10 make the same amount as him? It's because I took advantage of that kind of it was a proof of action system, not like this, but it was a proof of action system nonetheless. And Jake's experience was the same thing. Like, I think he even had less notes than me, and he made a considerable more amount of money because he understood one simple thing, that there was a system in place that incentivized the growth and expansion of the network. Okay. So we're coming up to the end of it. It's real simple, guys. Proof of action equals proof of value. Win turns actions into outcomes. So you take action. We've explained those actions in order of importance and like how that could impact like your ability to capitalize on this. And then you climb the rank and you unlock bigger rewards. With Blockbot, your effort becomes your edge. So you guys can be the MVP of this new world. Just like the NFL, your Blockbot is your player and your actions build your legacy. Win is where value meets effort and you're always on the field. We don't just play the game, we win the future.